Have you let your knitting or your crochet project get in your head and break you down, and it is telling you you can't do it? How many times do you start? Well, are you willing to start a knitting or crochet project over again until it is turning out the way that you want it to? And we're going to talk about that in this session right here. I hope you can hear me okay. If you want to comment in the chat, that would be great. I have my microphone on and it's turned on here. Green light. It's turned on over there. But yet I wasn't sure if it was actually coming up the way it's supposed to. I don't think it's this. I think it's just picking up my internal microphone. So sorry. But that's okay. I'm Suzi Quillen. I'm the Empress of Yarn here at Perfectly Knotty. It is Friday, January the 3rd, 2025. Happy New Year, everybody. Oh my gosh. I'm kind of excited about this year. There's a lot of really great stuff coming into this year. My life is a bit lighter. Managing my parents' estate is chilled, and I am getting back to being creative. And in that process, one of the things that I'm discovering is that as how much my brain for the last couple of years has been a little bit out of the creativity game. And I have been knitting and crocheting lots of things for the last several years, but I have kept my projects really simple. Things that I wasn't having to do a lot of mental work on. And I am finding with a recent project that I'm being challenged by it. And there's that part of me that says, oh, just give up. Find something easier to do. And then there's this really very tenacious part of myself that says, oh no, do not let the yarn beat you. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. And the project specifically that we're talking about are these little socks. And I've posted about them a little bit off and on the last several weeks over on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And while we're chatting, I'm just going to unravel this sock. But what has happened is the first time I started knitting this pair of socks, I always do both socks at the same time on 2 circular needles. This way I don't get single sock syndrome, because it's a real thing and I will just end up with one sock. That I know. So I learned how to do that. So that was all fine and dandy. But what I realized, I thought I finished the sock, and I realized I had put the heel in way too short. Now I could have finished the sock as it was and given them to my youngest local granddaughter. They would have fit Millicent quite nicely. But we were traveling and I didn't have another project to do while we're traveling. So I tried to back it up to take the heel out and fix it. And then what happened was I realized I had made an error in the body of the sock that was very weird and was not going to make me happy. And so I ended up frogging them out and starting them over, and I was much happier with the whole process. But then when I finished the sock, I discovered that I had made it per the pattern. And so as far as the pattern goes, it was correct. But my foot is really wide at the toe box and very narrow at the heel. And so it wasn't fitting my foot very well. So those went to my granddaughter, another granddaughter. They fit her perfect. So that was happy. So then I did some math before I gave the socks to her, and I figured out where I need to increase the toes for the toe box and then bring the sock back in for the narrowness of my heel. And I got stitching away, and I got both socks right up to the end of the toe box. However, I had not increased the stitches enough, and so they were too narrow. I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't count correctly. And I'm just wondering if you've had those experiences, and would that make you just scream and give up? Or would you try to just modify it and go on? Or would you do what I'm doing? And that is frogging the socks completely out. And I'm going to start over. And the reason I'm doing that, my husband kind of shakes his head at me, but he also understands because my husband's a creative as well. He's a woodworker. I want it to be right, and part of it isn't just ticking off a number of finished things. Part of this for me is conquering my mind, focusing my mind, and conquering the project. I'm not going to let this pair of socks beat me. I'm going to be victorious in this pair of socks. And I just want to encourage you. This is going to be just a short message of encouragement to you tonight. I want to encourage you to not give up. And when your projects aren't going right, don't get exasperated. I want you to just take a deep breath and pause for a moment and see if you can get in touch a little bit with why you are struggling with that project in that moment. For me, I just wasn't being present, and I was working off of something on my smartphone. I have the steps in Google Keep. But what I didn't do was I didn't make tick boxes. I just had it in Google Keep as notes, and I was looking at the wrong row. So I need to go back into those notes, and I need to turn on the check boxes so that I can check off the steps as I go. So I just want to encourage you. Get a hold of something inside you and understand what is happening. Are you stressing? Did you put yourself on a deadline, an unnecessary deadline? Do you have unnecessary expectations for yourself? So let's bring all of that back. Let's remember why we create. We create because it's tactile, it's creative, it opens up our mind, opens up our heart. Maybe we're creating something as a gift or something for us to wear ourselves. So if you've got experiences like this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. I'd also really appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel and head over to perfectlyknotty.com and sign up for the newsletter. It's a pretty cool place. Reach out, guys. I'm here for you. I really want to encourage you to tap into your next level of stitching. Let's just, with every project that we do, let's get 1% better, okay? And sometimes that's up here more than it is with our yarn and our knitting needles or our crochet hooks. So that's my little thought for you today. I love you guys. Happy Friday. Happy New Year. And that's it for tonight.